Something unusual always happens at the end of a year. Not because of fireworks, not because of celebration, but because people quietly shift their attitude. We start looking back at our relationships, especially the ones that weigh on us in ways we cannot explain. And in those quiet moments, a truth becomes clear. We are not always hurt by chaos. Sometimes, the most silent, subtle, and skillful people are the ones slipping into our lives without us noticing. They do not show warnings. They do not look threatening. They do not make noise. They observe, they analyze, and they decide whether you are someone they can emotionally control. You might think their attention is care, but in reality, it is evaluation. And if you do not recognize it early, you become the target they chose long before you noticed. The first sign is the unusual attention they give you. Not admiration, not respect. Attention sharp like the focus of a hunter scanning movement in a forest. They study your reactions when someone is rude to you. They watch how long you tolerate disrespect. They note your expression when you feel shy, uneasy, or when you try to stay calm. If you are patient, they see opportunity. If you are kind, they see weakness. If you are empathetic, they see an unlocked door. Their attention does not feel warm. It does not feel safe. It feels like someone taking you apart piece by piece, searching for the most fragile place to strike. The second sign appears when they begin testing your boundaries. Not openly, not aggressively, they interrupt you mid-sentence. They make jokes that cut a little too deep. They ask overly personal questions far too soon. And each time you laugh it off, each time you let it slide, each time you tell yourself it is not worth reacting, they mark you as someone who can be bent. None of these tests are accidental. They are strategy. If you do not set boundaries early, they escalate without hesitation. The third sign is the speed at which they enter your emotional space. Toxic people do not build relationships. They infiltrate them. They ask about your stress, your sadness, your fears. Their voice sounds gentle, but their goal is not to help. Their goal is to collect emotional information. They want to know which doors inside you are unlocked. If you share too soon, they learn how to steer your feelings later. If you stay guarded, they push harder, because control always begins with information. Understand this clearly. They are not seeking connection. They are seeking access. Access to your emotions, your time, your reactions, your hidden vulnerabilities. The fourth sign is in their tone when they speak to you, not the words. The tone, a slight hint of superiority, a small edge of condescension, a compliment that feels like an insult, advice you never asked for. They watch your face closely. They want to know if you shrink, if you hesitate, if you lose confidence for even 1 second. That tiny reaction tells them everything. The fifth sign is the way they shift the social environment around you. Toxic people rarely attack someone alone. They attack through the group. They notice who respects you, who envies you, who ignores you, who listens to you. Then they adjust the narrative. A vague comment at the right moment. A gentle seed of doubt shared with the right person. A small highlight of your mistake in front of others. Not because they hate you, but because isolating you makes you easier to influence. The sixth sign is when they begin to mirror you. Not because they relate to you, not because you are similar, but because they want you to trust them quickly. They mirror your interests, your tone, your values. You think, this person understands me, but it is not understanding, it is strategy. The seventh sign appears when their curiosity becomes fixation. They remember tiny details you barely recall sharing. They track your mood throughout the day. They react strangely when someone else gets your attention. They try to appear in more of your moments than you ever invited. This is not affection, it is possession. And once they feel they have access to you, they begin to escalate. They control the emotional tempo of your interactions. They confuse you on purpose. They trigger guilt. They ignore you at the exact moment you need reassurance. They say one sentence that keeps you thinking all day, just to see how deeply they affect you. If your mood shifts because of them, they feel triumphant. Control is their fuel. But the most unsettling stage comes when they start bending your perception. They deny what they clearly said. They reinterpret events to make you doubt your memory. They shift the blame onto you. They turn your emotional reactions into evidence of your flaws. If you begin doubting yourself, they have gone too far. Then a point arrives when you are no longer a target. You are property in their mind. They expect access to your time. They expect control over your emotional energy. They get irritated when you focus on others. They want your growth to slow down because your independence threatens their influence. But here is the truth they fear most. Their power does not come from their tactics, or their intelligence, or their manipulation skills. Their power exists only as long as you react. When you stay calm, when you stop explaining, when you stop defending yourself, when you set boundaries without negotiating, when you refuse to let them control your emotional weather, their influence collapses instantly. Your silence unsettles them. Your stability disarms them. Your clarity exposes them. Once you recognize their pattern, everything shifts. You stop dancing to their emotional rhythm. You stop accepting their version of reality. You stop seeking their approval. You become unpredictable. And nothing scares a toxic person more than losing control over someone they thought they already captured. If you have ever felt these signs, remember this: recognition is power. Awareness is armor. The moment you see the pattern is the moment you break it. And the more you choose clarity and boundaries and emotional calm, the harder it becomes for anyone to ever target you again. Because people who know their worth cannot be manipulated.